Hello, hello. Let's say good evening, good morning, good afternoon. We are here again another week. We are continuing our discussion from last week. We discussed the states of consciousness according to Dr. David Hawkins. And today we are going to go one by one and perhaps just start with the first one, the shame. And let's see where it takes us.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here together. Yes, we will start taking one by one each of the states presented on the map of consciousness. And at the bottom of the map, there are two very deep states: the states of shame and the state of guilt. They have very low frequency, very low life energy contained in them. The state of shame at the level of 20 on the map of consciousness, and the state of guilt just a bit higher, level of 30. And because they have so little life energy, they are very close to actually even physical death. When we are very trapped for a very long time in these states, they are connected to feelings of depression, and part of the depression, that are also the suicidal ideas, and sometimes taking the step to act on them. The main difference between the state of shame and guilt: shame refers to who I believe I am, and guilt refers to action, to what I did that was bad, was wrong, or it wasn't what it's supposed to be. I didn't do the right thing. So shame is about being who I am, and guilt about doing. So in the state of shame, both shame and guilt, I like to see these states below the level of 200 as an onion with these layers. And at the surface, they are the safest layers, the pride and the anger that sometimes we get stuck in there, and we choose them, avoiding to go deeper to the core of the onion, because we know that when we open the onion at the core, that's where tears are coming the strongest, and they are more intense. So in that avoidance, we try to hide level of shame and guilt. It leads us to hiding who I am, hiding what I did, because I believe that they are so wrong and so unacceptable, and I'm going to be judged so harshly because of that, and eventually punished with a level of guilt. And what I am and what I did is completely wrong, and I'm going to be rejected, I'm going to be abandoned, I'm going to be punished, I'm going to be ostracized from the world if others will see what I believe I am or what I believe I did. So shame, the main question in order to transcend this state, is the question and the mission actually of finding out uh, who I am in truth. And when I'm trapped in the state of shame, there is a very distorted view of who I believe I am. And I came into this world to be what I am. I was born as being what I am, but then in contact with the world, in co-creation with the world, I start learning through life experiences, through relationships with others, and I get this image of who I am. But this image is very distorted, is very contaminated by the experiences, and it's always changing. It's never a stable image, but there is the image that what I am, I'm bad, I'm ugly, I'm worthless, I'm nothing. That I am is not what it's supposed to be. And if I let myself to be what I think I am, then I expect rejection, I expect abandonment, I expect only bad things. So once again I try to hide that. But again, the levels below 200, I have to remember that any state that I am, the states below 200 on the map of consciousness, I cannot see the truth. What I see, it's a distorted image, it's a perception of very much connected to imagination and to what I learned before, but it's not what is as is in truth. In this case, on the level of shame, it's not what I am as I am in truth. So then I struggle. It's filled with suffering. It's filled with pain. And a very beautiful description of this state and transcending this state. It's actually in the story of the ugly duckling. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, gentle reflection. So there is this little egg that was born in a family of ducks. And when it hatched, when it came to life, the more it became aware of what it was, the more it realized that I'm so different than my brothers and sisters, than everyone around, and growing and trying more and more to be um, like everybody else. So I will be accepted. I will be loved. I will look into my mom's eyes, and I would be able to see that she fully loves me and accepts me as I am. But it's quite the contrary. And then I start on this mission to be more and more of what I believe I'm supposed to be in order to get that acceptance, to get that love. And the harder, and actually in this egg, this was the egg of a swan, a beautiful white swan, that of course it was so different from her the other ducklings, little ducklings, and being so different, it felt that because I'm different, I'm wrong, I'm not what I'm supposed to be, and it would be judged, it would be made fun of, and it to try so hard to talk like a duck, to walk like a duck, to behave like a duck, to feel like a duck. But the more it tried, the worse it got, and it would only be met with ridicule and rejection and judgment that was so painful, to the point where it couldn't take this pain anymore, and then it left into the world. So leaving, traveling, it arrived, the beautiful swan arrived at a crystal clear lake. And while it was resting there and raising its head above, it saw this family of beautiful, beautiful, wide, majestic birds. And she was looking at that, fell in love. It's like, whoa, whoa, how can they be so beautiful? How I wish I would be just like them. And then in sadness, it dropped its head, and there was this crystal clear lake. So the water was pure, was clear, uncontaminated by anything. And it looked down, it bowed its head, and then it sees this beautiful being that looked just like the birds that she saw on the sky, and was confused, like, oh wow, who is this? And then to realize that that was her own image of a beautiful, graceful, white,
Mm.
majestic swan. And then the family of Swan recognized her as well, and they welcomed her in their family, and she found home. Home in the book, in the storybook, it's that state where I feel that I truly belong. I'm exactly where I need to be, and I can be fully myself, and I can rest in being who I am. So this journey of the ugly duckling, it's our journey. It's an archetype represented so beautifully in this story, and it shows dynamics. It shows our own journey where. Once again, we come into this world being what we are, what we were born to be, and then meeting the world and needing even for our own survival in the first years of life, we need to be accepted into the world. We need the care of those that are close to us. We need to be taken care of. We need that unconditional love. We are coming from the source of creation, knowing that unconditional love, and we meet the very conditional um, relating into the world, and we get trapped in that, and then we work so hard to make myself who I'm supposed to be, to fit into the world, to be accepted, to be valued, to have significance into the world, and I try so hard in this process, and the harder I try, the more I forget who I am. I forget about myself, and quite the contrary, I start believing more and more that I am who I believe I am, who I see myself to be. I look into the mirror and I see these broken pieces, these images that I captured from different experiences, from different reflections. And I work so hard to become in the likeness of the world, just to belong to the world, to be accepted and loved into it, that once again, I forget about who I am in truth. And then I get lost. I lose my center. I cannot, everything I build in this life, relationships, everything, it's coming from a false place. It's not coming from a real, truthful place. It's coming from a persona, actually, for something that it's kind of made up outside of me, but it's not me. And then while I work so hard to get that approval, to get that recognition from the world that what I am, I'm all right. And it's never enough, actually, because no matter the feedback, it's never enough. And I will never believe it, actually, even when there are people, when they tell me that I'm all right, when they tell me that, I don't know, I'm beautiful, I'm a good person, I am that and that, and they put a whole list, or I try, I don't know, affirmations, positive affirmations. At the core, I don't really believe them. And I need more and more and more confirmations, but they don't meet me because I'm not there. So they are all false, they're made up. Okay, through repetitions, I might learn to believe them, but still they are beliefs, not truth, right? Versus when I connect with truth, when I remember, I don't even have to find it out, I have to remember it. And so beautifully in the story where the little duckling swan, she was looking at the sky, she was looking at the family, and the longing that was made alive in her like no other birds. There weren't eagles, there weren't, I don't know, other birds, but they were swans. And something in her connected with that, was activated. It's like, whoa, being in awe with them in particular. Why with the swans? Because there was that recognition. A part of her recognized what was there because it was already in her. So this process of who I am, finding out who I am in truth, it's not a process of constantly changing myself and making myself more and more and more and whatever else based on what I see around me, but it's a process of remembering. And this word remembering, so for once to remember, memory, to have the memory back of what I am, but also a process of remembering, putting the members back together. the members that there is the other beautiful myth with Isis and her husband. So where she picked the pieces. Anyway, he was killed, and she put the pieces together, remembering what he was and making him one again and bringing him to life. So this is another archetype related to our own journey, where I split myself. I dismembered myself, different parts of myself. So I gave them into the world, trying to trade back for love, acceptance, appreciation, everything that my needs, my emotional needs, that I try to get them from others. And in this way, I dismembered myself. I split myself to the point of not recognizing myself. So I need to bring those parts back home, back into what oneness, integrating them. And I need to bring also what Carl Jung used to call the shadows, the parts of me that I'm denying, that I believe they are bad or wrong or they shouldn't be. It's not what I'm supposed to be. It's not what I'm supposed to feel. I need to bring them home into light, into remembrance, into integration of one of them, to become whole, to become one, as I am, as I was created to be.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story because I think it depicts most of our growing up um, in a distorted, if I may put it that way,
Yes.
somehow families, not because, the mother per se doesn't accept us or doesn't see who you are, but she or parents or whomever is caring for us looks, they look through their eyes in whichever way they themselves were raised and
Learned,
believed,
exactly.
built up this personas or beliefs that unless you do this, you're not good enough. Unless you say this, you're not good enough. Unless, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not good enough. So I find myself very much into this story of the ugly duckling. I remember growing up thinking that I'm the black sheep, and only to realize growing up that I'm actually the white sheep because I'm the light. But aside from that, it's interesting because we go through these stages, especially in the beginning of our life, and then we end up, as you said, disconnected from who we truly, truly are, and we don't feel accepted and loved. And I think this shame and this guilt, it's really a cry out for acceptance, for love that it's deep rooted in acceptance. And I think the guilt, I don't know, my feeling is that it's related to the need of forgive me, I'm not like you,
Yes.
accept me just the way I am. I want to just be who I am. So the moment the poor little duckling saw the swans, it was like, wow, this is who I am. That's why, and now I can, soar into the sky as high as I can without feeling that I should actually not do that because then I will not be the same like my family, the
Exactly.
family that I end up growing up in. So that's how we see how it's interesting that interconnectedness of this persona that we grow up with, trying to compare, even as parents, even as children, to be comparing ourselves with others. And if we don't align with what others do or act or look or don't do or don't, then we feel that we're not enough, we're not good, it's something wrong with us, rather than
Absolutely.
trying to finding out, wait a minute, who am I really? I'm not my mom, I'm not my dad, I'm not. But you see, in that stage between 0 to 2, we don't have that ability, that capacity. So unless mom and dad or grandma or whomever is there, answers my cry, I learn that I'm not worthy enough,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Or if I'm
This
not
one.
changed, or if I'm not fed. So it's so now I can actually see when Dr. Gabor Mate mentions that trauma is not only what has happened to you that is not right, but it's also what has not happened. So in other words, neglect could be something
Yes.
that instills this belief of
Absolutely. Not
not
being
enough.
seen for what I am, not being heard for what I am, not being. And also, you mentioned about Gabor Mate. He also beautifully mentions about the process where we, in the world, we trade authenticity, who we are in truth, for attachment, for these connections, for this relating. And you mentioned it so right that yes, in the first part of life, we start seeking everything that we need, this recognition, this love, this affection, meeting our needs from the outside, because at that stage we are not able to survive on our own. But actually, later on in this process of remembering, recognizing, and coming back to who I am, the antidote of shame, it's actually radical self acceptance. So I no longer seek to get that approval, that acceptance, that validation of who I am from the outside. As a matter of fact, if we look at the story with the ugly duckling, no matter how much she would have tried, how much she would have changed herself or painted her feathers or do whatever or walk or talk or
Or
whatever
even
she had
learn,
done, even
even
learn.
learn to be like a dog will not
Exactly.
be.
She could never be a dog, and she could never get that approval, that true, genuine acceptance, because she wasn't what she was, right? So everything would be faked in a way, right? Even if her mom would fake that she accepts that
Yeah.
she's not what she is, right? So the antidote, once again, it's not to really get anybody's approval for what we are. We are what we are anyway. Like, we cannot be anything but where I am. I am that I am. I am that I've always been. And I am what I will always be. I cannot be anything but what I am in truth, right?
Mm.
And no matter what I believe, like even when she believed that she was an ugly duckling, she was still the beautiful swan. She was still, no matter her beliefs, no matter her view. And again, the antidote is self recognition, self radical acceptance. I am that I am. And that's
Self-love.
more than enough, absolutely more than, it's all that it could be. And it's perfection, being what I am and only being what I am. Like a tree, like if a tree, it's what it is, a plum tree or a peach tree or a cherry tree. Its perfection is being fully, completely what it is and nothing else, right? And when we come to this, we come back into truth, into alignment. I don't need to make it. I don't need to force it. I don't need to pretend it. I don't need to hide it or show it even. I just am. And nothing and no one, no matter their beliefs, their mirrors, their whatever, nothing could change that. Like if I, it's the same as if I have brown eyes, that's what it is. No matter if there would be a color blind person or what others think or perceive or see, it's irrelevant. I am what I am and I'm aligned. The most important is self alignment. I no longer, I come back, make a U turn and come back from seeking outside, seeking out there into others what I need and the confirmation of what I am. I come back to myself and seeing in truth. And truth indeed is liberating. It truly sets us free. It truly, and everything becomes effortless. Once again, if we look at the ugly duckling story, so she no longer had to try anything. She didn't have to learn anymore to walk like a dog, to talk to like a duck, to talk like a duck. She didn't need to pretend. She didn't need to learn. She fully allowing herself to be more and more of what it was, and that was extremely freeing. And everything aligns with that. And this is our own story, where when we finally answer this mm, essential existential question, who am I in truth?
Mm-hmm.
That's with that answer in truth, shedding everything I learned that I am all the layers, all the masks, all the veils, shedding, 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 and finding myself in truth. And that's complete freedom.
Letting go of what others said at me, letting go of all the things I've
I
learned
learned
from others,
exactly, exactly.
rather go inside to find the answers because it's there. But I'm fascinated, Sophia, I'm so fascinated on how you, through the storyline, you bring this to life to understand what shame, what guilt, what life is. To tell the truth, I was very resistant to the idea of stories, and I don't know why. But now I see that metaphorically we can all see ourselves in this state at one point in our life. Um,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
it is a shame to stay there.
Misaligned with the truth. So that was, yeah, stories like that. So that's where my storybook came from. Because stories carry our human archetypes, and carry in them all the wisdom and dynamics and everything that it's not really unique, but they are templates of ways of relating, of being, of finding solutions, and ways to life and navigating. There is the hero's journey that it's talked about. So stories are perhaps the oldest ways of passing on wisdom, and passing on the genetic wisdom code, if we want, around gathering around the fires and the sharing. So they're not just stories, but they carry in them, they carry wisdom, they carry understanding through these archetypes. Once again, they carry healing, and are very, very powerful spaces where we are invited, very non-intrusive, non-forceful ways, where we allow ourselves to be with that story, and the same story, the same one story, but everybody gather around that fire and hearing it, it will connect in a very personal way with different aspects of the story. It's the same story,
Course.
but
A different
everybody
meaning.
resonates, exactly, and we resonate, and it activates part of us. Just in the story with the ugly duckling, so it was activated. There was that recognition of the swans, like, whoa, I wish they're so beautiful. I wish I would be like them. And this is happening when we see others and they appreciate them. It's like, wow, I wish to be. So that wishing actually resonates with something that is already in us. There is a meeting place in there between what's already in me and what I see. But that part in me, it's not fully brought to life or to light, right? Just like in the story. So when I see it and I recognize it and I appreciate it, I admire it, I am in awe, I have to look back that that's a mirror in me. What part of me is not fully given life? And the other parts that we reject and we say, oh, no, 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 why did she do that? And why in the story? And we get this conflict of what happened in the story, and I would have written it differently. That rejection to a part of an aspect of the story, it's also a mirror. It also shows an aspect of ourselves that, whether it's part of our shadow, as Carl Jung called it, a part of us that it's not, it's hidden because of shame, because of guilt, because of feeling that it's not what it's supposed to be, and we need to bring it to light to heal it and see it in truth as well. Or it's a part of us that it's connected to some mechanisms or some different solutions that we are not at peace. They need to be processed, they need to be reviewed, they need to be worked through in the present, for who I am in the present, brought to light as well, and integrated in my life, in my being in the present, right? So stories have this amazingly powerful ways through just invitation, just a gentle invitation. They don't force anything. You don't have to take anything from that story. It is what it is. But then it lures us into those aspects that connect with us at different times in a very particular way, and that's personal, and that's our mirror, that it opens those spaces that are waiting to be seen, to be healed, to be integrated as a whole. And they are very powerful. Again, they are therapeutic stories. Every story, even our own stories that we share with one another, they carry significance in them. Now, with our story, it's also important not to get trapped in the story, and to be able to transcend them as well until the story that we are writing about our life, it's truly the one that reflects our truth, that it is what it is. And it's, as they say, once we leave this plane, what's left after ourselves, it's our own story only.
Our experiences, yeah, energetical imprints of what we've
Right.
learned.
That's right.
And related to the stories, and it's just it is incredible. And we spoke about how we are only recognizing in others or in stories or anything that's around us, that's within us. So it's so important to understand the concept that whatever you see, good and bad, it's part of you. So if it's good, embrace it, love it, accept it. Don't look for anybody else to do that.
Yes.
That's responsibility, personal responsibility to
Yes.
do it. And if you don't like it, perhaps ask some questions around it to see what's there, what's the essence of that which you don't like. And maybe look to see if there is this coming from what I've grown up to believe about myself, and therefore that's why I feel that is not accepted, because I was told that that's not good enough, because that's not what you should be or you should do, or anything else, right, related to not enough, which is it's our focus today on not enough, the shame, the guilt. So it's yeah, it's very interesting. I'm blown away with the stories though, because I even see myself in this, and I can see how I've grown to believe certain things. And then it wasn't until I looked into myself and I started working with myself that I realized that, wait a minute, I don't have to be anybody else. I just have to be who I am. And once that happened, it just made a huge world of difference, not only in my life, but in everybody's life that is around me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when we are what we are aligning ourselves vertically with ourselves, and we are aligning with truth. Like there is no more pretend, there is no more faking, there is no more trying, we're showing, we're hiding. It is, and that's real. And when we are in truth, our life, our relationships, everything, it's built on a solid, secure ground. And it's real.
It's there.
It exactly. Otherwise, it's fake. It's not real, right? It's made up. So then it cannot be. No matter how much we try to make it real or believe it's real, even the good things, it's not, and we know it inside. The truth is speaking to us. That's why we don't believe it, because I know something is off. I know something is misaligned. But when we finally come into alignment with ourselves, with what we are, it does take lots of courage. Sometimes it takes um, reaching the rock bottom where
Yes.
I can no longer move forward this way. So there must be another way. And stories show us another way so beautifully. Again, this story, it's one of my favorites with the ugly duckling. It shows like there is another way, like stop going in the way that it's not it. It's not you'll never find what you are looking for in that direction, that you worked so hard and you only found resistance and rejection and denial. um, Change the course, change, like just leave, let go, and
Accept
start.
what is. That's it.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. Wow, it's beautiful. I'm solid, or I feel I have a solid understanding now of what shame and guilt, what are rooted in actually, and how this can be transformative when you realize it, and how it could really impact your life.
Absolutely, it's the core. Is the these two are related to our core. And there is that saying that the apple gets rotten from the core, from the middle part, right? So we once we bring our core into health, into alignment, into truth, it has this ripple effect where our whole life it's changing course. It's the same life, but our experience of life, once again, based on the state of consciousness, the level of vibration where we
Mhm.
are, it's completely radically different. The experience of it, as we were saying, if we are I don't know, crawling creature like a caterpillar, or a little duck, or a flying creature like a butterfly, or like a swan in this story, the experience. And nothing wrong, once again, nothing wrong with the caterpillar, nothing wrong with the dogs. They are what they are, what it's supposed to be, what they're meant to be at the time. The caterpillar, it's a stage. As long as we don't get stuck in that, as long as we don't die as a caterpillar when we are meant to be a flying, beautiful,
Beautiful butterfly.
colorful butterfly, there is nothing wrong. But to follow the right process is to be at all times aligned with what I am, including being a caterpillar.
Mhm.
Eh,
Accepting the state. Exactly.
Exactly. The antidote for shame is a radical self-acceptance.
Amen. I agree.
Thank you, Paula, Felicia. Thank you,
Wonderful.
everyone. We will talk next time about more about the level of guilt. The
Mhm.
next one on the map of consciousness, and understanding all of this. It really helps us once to understand, to make sense of them, to identify where I am, and at the same time to look at the whole map. And if I'm not at home, if I'm not where I feel at home, then I will embark in this journey to find my home, to be where I am, and being what I am. It's not only enough; it's all that it needs to be. It's everything. So next one will be shedding the layers of learned guilt, and what I supposed to be doing or I haven't done when I haven't done enough, and the sense of unhealthy responsibility that it's connected to it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And we'll see you soon, everyone.
Yes,
For being
yes.
here. Bye.
Bye for now.